Hello, this is Mark Wildman of Wildman Athletica, and today we are going to talk about the heavy club, two-hand, balance, step back lunge. This video is part of a big series of videos that is meant to teach people the basics of heavy club swinging. The goal of this is to get people into a heavy club swinging program. Think of heavy club swinging like Paleolithic Olympic lifting. Before barbells were invented, this is how most cultures in history trained for strength and athletic performance for at least 5,000 years of recorded history, and probably a lot longer than that. Humans have been basically anatomically the same for 200,000 years, and we have been using tools for a lot of that time. That implies to me that humans would have used this idea for a very, very, very long time. In heavy club swinging, we have several families of movements. Think of it very much like barbell training. You have deadlift families of movements, you have press families of movements, you have squat families of movements, you have lunge families of movements. This is the first in a big series of lunge movements. There are a lot of moves in this family of movements. We start with a lunge, then we will add complexity, we will add movement of the club above the head. Then in the future, we will eventually add different types of hip snap to the lunge family, but it all starts from this base. The step back lunge in balanced position helps people figure out if they are stepping back with their spine vertical or not. It is important that we pick up our heavy club, even if it is a light club with good technique, so we are building good patterns for when the club gets really heavy. Step up to our club, 2 feet point straight ahead. Our feet are shoulder width apart. We do not need to have our feet wide. We definitely do not want a turnout with this exercise. Feet point straight ahead, feet directly underneath our shoulders. The club starts directly between the insteps of our feet. 2 thumbs point towards the sky, elbows are straight, stack your hands on top of each other, pick up the club to our order position. Think of this like rack position in barbell training. The better the order position, the heavier the weights you will eventually be able to lift. In the beginning, the club will be directly in front of your face. As you get smarter about staying alive, you will move the club to the side of the head that the high hand is on. Elbow is on the body, the arm is at a 90-degree angle. Step back. In the beginning, we're going to put our knee all the way down on the ground because in the beginning, many people will lean forward and their elbow will leave their body. By putting our knee on the ground, it allows people to lean back until their elbow is touching their body. Drive all the way up. Keep the elbow on the body the entire time. Step back with the other leg. Step back, put the knee on the ground, shift the weight back. Elbow stays on the body the entire time. Stand all the way up. Step back, lean back, drive that hip forward. Feel a stretch in the front of the hip flexor. Stand all the way up. Step back, find that point, drive the hip forward. Feel a stretch in the hip flexor. Stand all the way up. Step back, stand up. Step back, stand up. When you put the club down, straight arms, set it down directly between the insteps of your feet. You should do an equal number of reps with each hand high. The setup is the same. Heavy club starts between the insteps of the feet. Put the other hand on top, pick the club up, elbow on body, step back, elbow stays on body, drive up. Step back, elbow stays on body, drive up. Step back, elbow stays on body, pull the belly button towards the spine, drive all the way up. Step back, put that knee on the ground, eyes look out in the distance the entire time, stand all the way up. Something like 60% of people in the modern world have lower back pain. And that means that people's core and their hips are not working together the way that they should. That is a consequence of living in the modern world and sitting down in cars, sitting down at work, sitting down on trains, sitting down on planes. Humans adapt to whatever position they do the most. In the modern world, we sit down the most. By practicing any heavy club swinging program where you start with a lightweight, you track your numbers, and you build up to heavier weights over time, you will always focus on the most important movements that define humanity, and people generally get out of pain by just restoring proper ranges of movement. The important part about this balanced step back lunge is that it helps people figure out if they are leaning forward as they step into a lunge and putting stress on their lower back. Over time, we will add more complex club movements to this exercise, but you have to start with this exercise first. Figure out if you're pointing your feet straight ahead, figure out if you can keep your elbow on your hip, and build more complexity on top of it later. Most people in the modern world are not in control of where their feet are. Their feet are turned out, their ankles collapse in, their knees hurt, their hips hurt, their back hurts. By doing this exercise, you can retrain anybody to learn to stand up better and to take steps better. Humans need to be really, really good at standing up first, but then they have to work on foot movement. Then they have to integrate it with arm movement and casting patterns, because that's what defines us as humans. Then we will start to learn to step in other directions once the ankles, knees, hips, and spine are all working together.